Good morning. My heart goes to you because we're living really interesting times. War has broken and all bets are off. And the good question is, what can people like you and me can be doing right now? We cannot beat, send blankets and paracetamol. We can indeed speak in social media. But is there something that could start reverting this violence? I'm thinking about that. How can we change a trend on violence? I remember that I had this wonderful book in my bookshelf. I read it a couple of years ago, and this book is tremendous. It's terrific. If you don't know it, you haven't read it. It's really a great recommendation. It's really a book that I think everybody should read. It is called The Better Angels of Our Nature, written by Steven Pinker. This man is a scientist. A big part of the first part of the book is everything about history. So he goes in detail describing wars, the type of war, sexual violence, the kind of sexual violence. He goes and talks about violence historically. And he puts as much data as possible. Because I forgot to tell you, the subtitle is The History of Violence and Humanity. So he goes and studies the history of violence. And what we see is that violence is decreasing. And you're going to say, wow, my God, this is, of course, so positive, as you are positive, Blanca. Well, this man did the research. And he says, well, no, the reason why we think that it's so bad is because we have the fallacy of recency. We think it's so bad because it's the thing that we are just seeing right now. And we think it's so bad because we're seeing it in social media, we're seeing it in the television, and we're seeing it again and again and again and again. So many times repeated that it appears that it has been repeated so many times. Without talking about fake news, because if we factor that one out, it becomes even more complex. Any case, the fallacy of recency give us the perception that things are worse than ever right now. But he goes and studies that before, there was no other way for women that to be raped before being married. It was the way it was. Men were chopped in 4 pieces and hung in the squares. It was really violent. Centuries ago, last century. Now we're living in much more peace than before, and we don't see it because of this, the fallacy of recency. And in his book, he not only stays in history, but he starts on analyzing why this has decreased. And one of the reasons, big reason why violence has decreased is because there have been several revolutions of rights. And we have the civil rights movement, we have the women's rights movements, the children's rights movement, the gay rights movement, the animal rights movement. It is really exciting. Things are changing and changing really fast. When I was little, I saw a lamb and I understood that this delicious piece of meat was coming from that adorable little animal, baby, because it's the youngest the lamb, the most delicious the meat. How horrible! We are eating a baby animal. And I found it horrible, but my mother wouldn't have it. You are eating your lamb. When my daughter had exactly the same experience, she says, I'm not eating it, Mom. Jump up and down, but I'm not eating it. But also I said, you know, my darling, I have no idea how to cook vegetarian, but you have all my support. And not only she became vegetarian, but the whole family became vegetarian. So we are changing. Consciousness is rising. I remember in my childhood how many vegetarian restaurants there were. It was so rare that a person will be vegetarian restaurants who will go to a thing like that. And he continues to say, okay, these revolutions have accelerated the decrease in violence. So how can we go forward? And he talks about our better angels. And this chapter is the chapter of the book because that's the title. And I want to call your attention to the fact that he talks a lot about women and the qualities of the feminine. In fact, the very first thing that he talks about in the better angels is the big E. It's the big E of empathy. Empathy. Wow. Can you stop wars with empathy? Can you stop terrorism with empathy? Can you stop killing and rape with empathy? He describes how crime was decreased in Los Angeles. It was so violent, children killing each other in gangs, and how this was stopped with empathy was by social workers going to the houses of these violent, in these violent neighborhoods and talk to people, talk to the mothers, talk to the children, have conversation, have empathy. Of course, he gives you more about the feminine and the power of the feminine. It makes me so excited and so happy is that this man is a man and he's a scientist. I don't know if he ever thought about the divine feminine, but all his language describes to me the divine feminine. Empathy, the perfect timing, listening, the feminine, heart-centeredness. He describes it all here on scientific terms. I find it so exciting. And when I remember all these things, it brought back the meaning of, yeah, it is okay to have my conference next week. It is okay to talk about the divine feminine. And it's not only okay, but it is what we need. We need to have those empathic conversations with each other, with ourselves. We need to meet ourselves where we are. If you are sad because of the images that you see online, love yourself, forgive yourself, have a cry. If you can help somebody and hold them and support them, do that. When we start behaving in an empathic and pacifistic way, it starts creating ripple effects. Ripple effects. Just by understanding that the other person is a human, we are going to act in a peaceful way in advance. He talks about the peace dilemma. If I am peaceful, they might attack me and might lose. And so I better attack before. You understand the dilemma? So if we are peaceful and we think of being peaceful in advance and the other person is peaceful in advance, we will have a peaceful reality. So this is what I offer to you. Remember to start in peace for yourself today. Actually, it's 3 things. Really embrace those divine feminine characters for yourself, no matter if you are a man, because that divine feminine qualities you still have. And if you are a woman, you have somehow an advantage. Pick up this book. It's amazing. It makes you feel full of hope for humanity. And number 3, come to our conference. I have amazing speakers. I cannot believe they said yes to me, poor little old Blanca. They said yes. I am so delighted to have them. 10 speakers with great books, great ideas, and massive empathy for humanity, for you, for me. So much wisdom of these women. I hope to see you. The link you will find it below. And please like, comment, subscribe, share it with your friends, help out, because we need this. We need this empathy. We need this love. We need this listening for humanity. We need to show up from the point of view of the better angels of our nature. Have a wonderful day. God bless.